Thank you, Phyllis. Listen, ditto back to you, everything you just said, because we surely could not make it without you. As a matter of fact, we couldn't even started this company without you. And so I looked at all those wonderful posts that you posted that took place during the weekend and all the events that you were a part of and the recital, graduation, the dance uh, that your relatives were involved in. And I want you to know that you sharing that is is another way of being an example to us here at Akana what we should be doing, living our life, doing our business while we live our life. Just know we're watching and we're receiving and benefiting from everything you do. Guys, I'm excited today because I'm going to share just a little bit about my morning, this morning. It was an interesting morning. Um, I woke up thinking about multiple things. You know, I'm always thinking, okay, God, what do you want to share with your people today? These are your people. And so I went a whole lot of different ways. I mean, I woke up first thinking about a farmer, and I began to do some research and look up some things and saw this thing called farmer's mindset because I understand that we're sowing seed. And when I thought about the farmer plants a seed and he's not frustrated because he doesn't see anything happening. He knows that because he planted the seed, there's a law that's in effect and there's going to be some growth at some point. Different seeds grow differently. That was the first thought. Then I got to thinking, I didn't stay with that thought long because something else popped in my head, and I thought about progress. You know, sometimes progress feels slow. It's like the farmer, and the thing that's important is for us to stay patient and persistent. They both start with P, patient and persistent. That's a hard task for many people. Number one, just to be patient, and then number two, to be persistent. And then I didn't stay there. I was all over the place today. I said, okay, I don't have a topic for today. I almost called and say, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about because I'm thinking about everything. I'm thinking about all this stuff. And then I began to go on YouTube and I said, okay, what am I going to listen to this morning? Because you should always be trying to do something to empower yourself. We get so much of it here. And some of us don't realize everything you hear, we already hear it here. Anytime somebody comes on board with this company, you've already heard it because we've got the best leadership that has already tons and tons of years of experience, but somebody just may have a different twist and say it a different way. So I stumbled upon this guy named Myron Golden. I'd never heard him before. And he shared, I listened to a couple of his videos and he said selling is hard because you want them to buy. I said, okay, I'll stop right there. It's hard because you want them to buy. His attitude was you have to not care. Not that you don't care about them getting the product, but you can't get so caught up in they got to buy right now or they got to get it right now. And he said, you're in such a hurry to make a sale, you're running people away instead of giving them the content, instead of giving them the education. And then he talked about how he closed the sale. So there was so much happening. And then after I thought about that for a minute, I had another thought, and this is where I want to talk about. Now, can you believe none of that was what I want to talk about? But here's what I want to talk about. Why is it so easy for us to encourage others rather than encourage ourselves? How many of you have a tendency to easily somebody talks to you on the phone, somebody says they're down, somebody says they're having a difficult time, somebody says things are moving kind of slow, and you've got some powerful, encouraging words. But when you look at yourself in the mirror, are you telling yourself the same things that you told them? Because see, encouraging others sometimes feels easier than encouraging yourself due to a whole lot of different factors. And one of those is perspective. See, when we're advising others, we can objectively look at the situation without any emotional biases, any emotional attachment. Because the emotional attachment is what clouds our judgment about ourselves. We're not attached to what that person's going through. So we're able to say, oh, but you can make it. You can go past this. Oh, it's going to be all right. Things are getting ready to turn around for you. So it's that external perspective. And it allows us to offer clear, supportive advice. But we should be able to do that for ourselves. David said, I encourage myself in the Lord. Number two, self criticism. See, a lot of times people are their own critics. The harshest, I mean, we are so hard on ourselves. And they struggle, sometimes we struggle ourselves with our own self-doubt. And we're able to be more tuned to our own flaws and our own failures so that self-encouragement becomes challenging. Where when we're talking to somebody else, we're overlooking their flaws. We're overlooking whatever they're going through, and we're just encouraging them. Number three, emotional distance. See, encouraging others doesn't carry the same emotional weight as encouraging oneself. We can detach from their problems. We can make it easier to provide positive motivation, positive reinforcement without carrying baggage. But when we talk to ourselves, we are encompassed with baggage. Number four, fear of failure. Encouraging yourself often requires taking a risk and facing potential failure directly. Whereas when we encourage somebody else, if they don't make it, if they don't reach the mark, if they don't reach the goal, if they don't hit diamond when they say they're going to hit diamond, it ain't nothing on you. All you did was encourage them. But when it doesn't happen in our own lives, we sometimes don't encourage ourselves because we fear we may not hit it. We fear we may not hit bronze or silver or gold or platinum. So we fear that, so we don't even say that. But we tell everybody else, go ahead, speak it, say it, talk about it. Number five, social norms. What's socially acceptable? See, society often values humility and self-encouragement or self-praise as being arrogance. So then, we don't say anything because the world looks at that as like, oh, she's just so arrogant. Oh man, she just always out there talking. You know how I told you I love to play the game of spades, right? And there are folks that talk the talk. They clap. If they're playing dominoes, they slap the bones on the table and they talk noise. And some of you, come on, let's be, you don't like folk that talk all that kind of noise and you feel like they just kind of haughty and they just kind of bold, but they walk in that self-confidence. Number six, lack of reinforcement. See, encouragement from others comes with an external validation and reinforcement, which most of the time that's really motivating. But self-encouragement doesn't have that external feedback. And I know, don't misunderstand me, there's nothing wrong with getting external feedback and somebody telling you, but what if nobody tells you? What if you went a whole week, and I know I jump on here, you jump on here, so we can be encouraged, but what if there was no diamond factory taking place in a whole week? Could you still be encouraging to yourself? So in all, these are the things that can help us. And I want to encourage everybody here to encourage yourself, to not be limited, to have, and you may have to grow to get to that point because you may be a victim of low self-esteem. You may be a victim of having the wrong perspective. You may be a victim of constantly criticizing yourself. You may be a victim of being too close, being too emotionally attached to your own flaws. And you've got to grow to get to the point where nobody pats you on the back. You take your hand and pat yourself. If nobody says you can do it, you look at yourself in the mirror and you tell yourself you can do it until you do it. You can accomplish it until you accomplish, because the race is not given to the swift nor the battle to the strong, but those that endure to the end. We were in a conversation the other day on our rebounder group, and somebody said, I'm a turtle. And just, I encouraged them. What did I say? The turtle won the race. So I'm challenging you, Akana Nation, as I give this back to our midwife. I encourage you to encourage yourself. Back to you, Phyllis.
Well, girl, there are no more words. You just did it. You laid it out for us to take it and utilize it, guys. One thing I just want you all to always do is listen, hear, and then go out and implement it, because that's the most important test of all. Because if we don't use what we get, we just don't take that extra step forward. And it might be a baby step, but it's just use the wisdom that you get. I'm in devotion now, and my whole thing is discernment and wisdom, because it's time to implement those things in our lives to get the next step, to get to where we want to go, and to help so many more people. And so, Dr. Ross, thank you so much for that, because you know what? You be thinking it, everything is in alignment, because you just reiterated what I was already thinking. Thank you so much, guys. Go out and push, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning. Go have a kind of day. Bye. Thanks, Dr. Ross.